Good evening. Welcome to your Monday night edition of Not Another Rangers podcast. I was going to say we had a full panel there. Ricky has just disappeared. Don't know what's happened to him there. With a full bunch of guests. Ricky is also here. Ross is here. Scott is here. So hopefully Ricky rejoins us very shortly. We will discuss. Oh, here it comes. We will discuss the Middlesbrough friendly, some of the most latest transfer rumours, and preview the big game on less than 48 hours for I think when we play Panathinaikos. So. How are we all? Ricky, you disappeared for a moment. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Technical issues. You came on and we're coming through years. Coming through the iPad, which is bloody annoying. So I managed to sort that out. I'm getting good at the old technical abilities now. But apart from that, good, mate. Working hard, so everything is good. Enjoy the friendly on Saturday. So life is good.
And welcome, Ross. It's been a few weeks, I think. I can't remember when since we were last on. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. It's been a while. You know what I'm like. I'm inconsistent. I'm like the
Rabbi Matondo, the Not Another Rangers pod.
I'm unavailable for selection quite a lot, but I'm not injured and I'm not fast at running, Gary. But I just summer holidays and it's just busy, innit? Like kids, my oldest 13 now, so she's overtaking my life because I need to go and pick her up. She's due in at 9 o'clock most Mondays, so she's at with her pals.
Right.
I'm just not available. I'm not an available guy.
No. So hectic life. Yes, I don't know. For those that can watch it on YouTube, Ross is kind of split personality there. He's split into two bits. Scott, how's yourself?
All right, Gary. Working the day. I left a wee bit earlier in the night because I've got a pounding headache all day. So here we go.
So. Just reminded me that there was obviously, for those that watched the podcast on Friday night, there was a couple of comments about a lot of squawking going on in the background. Now, I think it might have been your granddaughter we're talking about, or else it was yourself. I'm not quite sure.
No. It was actually my granddaughter just came in probably 15, 20 minutes into the pod, and because my son had just arrived home there, and she was all excited. A few comments people did say, I'm not listening to the pod again because of the squawking kid, but listen, it's about 5 minutes, no more. And I'm not going to tell her to be quiet. She's 18 months. I'm not going to tell her to be quiet. I put her out of the room because that's not what I'm like. And if you can't suffer that for 5 minutes or less, then it's no me to get the issues.
And hopefully in future years she'll be able to talk in the pod and she'll be at the games and she'll know more than any other 4 years around here. I'll probably no doubt.
No, I keep saying I'm going to take it to Rangers game, but I'll wait till she's a bit older because she's far too young yet, and I don't want to go there and have to leave again. So I'll wait till she's a bit older. But she's ready kicking a football about the living room in the back door, so that does for me at the moment. Good
on her. So before we start, I was going to give a quick shout out to Northern Ireland Bears, Hands Across the Water. I was on with them earlier on this evening. So Baz and William, two great guys. Please look at their pod, watch their pod. You find it in all good podcasts and streams from your Apples, your Spotify's and YouTube. So and they're great supporters of Not Another Rangers podcast as well. So they will be on sometimes when they can. We'll be on there sometimes when they can, and they're good guys. So hopefully they participate with. So well done to them. And it was, I think Ricky might potentially in a few weeks when he's back home from working away.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it, mate. I watched the pod. I watched 5 minutes of you on earlier on, and I thought it was good. I like the boys. They speak sense. They speak a lot of sense. They've obviously got the great accent as well. So I look forward to joining them in a couple of weeks when I get back to Cyprus, mate.
So please find that. Please watch it. So it's on the Heart and Hand Network, and he's looking for it. But this is not a plug purely for theirs because we've got our own podcast, so Not Another Rangers podcast. And tonight, we will talk about the game. Yes. Saturday against Middlesbrough. Look at some of the most recent transfer rumours, and there is ones pop up every couple of minutes, really, so it's hard to keep up with them. So, but there may have been some in the last few while, and then we'll look at the big game on Wednesday night, which is make or break in terms of our Champions League qualifications. So, Ricky, I'll come to you first then. So Middlesbrough game was on Saturday afternoon, trying to remember when it was there. They brought a great travelling support, 8,000, 8,500 fans with them. I was in Glasgow City Centre and couldn't go on a subway because of between Rangers fans, Middlesbrough fans, and people protesting against and counter-protesting against all sorts of things. The place was chock-a-block, but they certainly come up and made a good game of it, and in full voice as well, to be fair to the fans.
Yeah, no, the fans were excellent, mate, and I enjoy reading when you play these pre-season friendlies. It's good when people come up. you could tell they were excited to enjoy Ibrox, and they were excited to come to Glasgow. They're a massive support, and I was reading a lot of the stories afterwards saying they were mixing really well in the bars and they enjoyed the day out. And I tell you what, they were right up for it. We were. I agree with Russell Martin. We started so slow. Our start was we were tripping over the ball. Players wanted too long on the ball, and Martin, I thought his interview was excellent after the match. He's seen through everything. He was really pissed off how players were training. I've watched a few podcasts since the weekend, a few people that were at the match, and they said Yefte was just walking during the warm-up and stuff like that, and he was absolutely, and Martin obviously seen that, so Middlesbrough were right up for it, and we were off it, and they completely dominated us for about 20 minutes. So again, the first half was pretty disappointing, mate, but you see, like Martin's comment, I don't know if that one slipped out, where the good players came on. I thought I didn't think that was a very wise thing to say. The good players come on, like basically calling the B team absolutely shite. But he's the manager, and that's his prerogative. He wants to speak like that. But I thought that was quite funny. But it was disappointing, mate, because these players are not going to get many opportunities, and they can't go to the manager's door and complain, because let's be honest, 5-6 players that were in that lineup that we were excited to see, and it was like, okay, here's your moment, and all of them completely fluffed their lines again, and it'll be a long time before they get another opportunity, and none of them can moan, Gary.
No, certainly it was. I mean, my wife has once I watched the first half on my phone before it started working again, so I did fortunate enough to miss most of the first half and properly. Ross, did you see the game?
Did not, mate. I was away camping. I've actually seen I've seen the goals. I've not even seen the highlights, mate. I'm woefully underprepared. Even when I turn up, Gary, I told you I'm never good. I'm never good. No, we were away camping at the weekend, so I've actually not even seen the game. So I did say in the group chat, going to ask me about the game and make a meal of me in front of everybody, but you've obviously... I'm coming on a podcast that's going to be half covering the game I never watched, Gary. I'm woefully underprepared. Please don't throw me under a bus. But there you go.
Right.
So Martin's talking about the bad players. I'm the bad player of the podcast. All right.
So I'll go and pause this while I go and check my phone notifications and see what you said. I'll come back to you in a moment, there, Ross. Scott, you I know you didn't see the game on the Saturday, but you did watch it. I don't know. Did you watch it in its entirety the next day?
I watched probably 80 minutes. I fast forward a bit through the first half. To me, it's just a friendly. It's like the manager says, and yeah, some of the players have to take a look at themselves. But Middlesbrough's players, they were missing a few players as well, to be honest with you. And Rangers were their own worst enemy again. I don't think because Middlesbrough were great. I just thought Rangers were poor, especially keeping the ball. I thought that was the main issue. I think they were just a lot of loose passes for the back, for the middle, the front. I think Dessers didn't really get involved till about 30 minutes into the game. The bonus suite, it was nothing to do with himself. It was just the ball wasn't really going up that way. It wasn't like nobody was really. He was making the runs, but nobody was picking them out. But no, it's the feelings are finished now. They're finished. I don't like look too much into Middlesbrough game because I think it's kind of non-starter if you do. If Panathinaikos didn't happen, maybe a bit more. But we've seen what they've done against Panathinaikos in the second half. So, and it's still the start of the season. It's still new players bedding in and others coming in. There's ones that started against the Middlesbrough who are either going to be leaving or getting it in loan or something. There'll probably not be a lot of them left, to be honest with you. So I don't really want to look too much into that. But apart from what Ricky says, when he said the good team, I don't think it was a slip of tongue. I just think that's what he's mean. The boys that are ready to start are ready to play, whereas others are not cutting themselves properly as yet.
Yeah. So the benefit we've been to us, Scott, you might not want to talk about the Middlesbrough game, but I can ask as many questions as I want about it and the answer. So that's how this works from there. Ricky, I don't want to pick up a lot of the things, but I'm going to pick up on the refereeing just for or officiating, maybe not the refereeing, right? Because there's 3 decisions that I remember in the game. One, Middlesbrough had a goal disallowed that was miles onside. Then there was a handball that was the most blatant of handballs that you'll ever see. The guy's up there waving his hand at it when he hits it. And then Middlesbrough's second goal was offside twice, like blatantly offside twice again. Do you know, I think the refereeing and linesmen, whatever you want to call them, was horrendous.
Yeah, they need VAR. They need VAR. They're like you see it with Rangers games, and it'll be the same this season. They're scared to make decisions. They don't make decisions. The handball one, I mean, Jesus Christ, this basketball. The guy's jumping in the air. It's like a picture for a night trainers or something. The guy's that high in the air with his hand with the basketball, like the Michael Jordan Simon, and how John Beaton could miss that, and then to send Martin off at half time. I mean, come on. Unless Martin ran up and put him in a headlock, it's a pre-season friendly. He used bad language. Come on, John. We're big boys. We're adults. Okay, Martin did say he was frustrated more with the team than he was the referee, and the referee was maybe got it before he managed to take it out on the players right enough. But still, to send him off in a pre-season friendly, I thought was really petty. And I hope it doesn't get reported to the SFA, because Martin doesn't think that he's going to get a ban, but there is a chance that if Beaton does report it, especially with the SFA, they could give him a ban for the Motherwell game. So hopefully nothing comes out of that. Nothing would surprise you more in Scotland. Willie Collum was speaking today about John Brown again, about the refs are all prepared for the new season. There's no corruption in Scottish football. It's just a coincidence that Celtic are the top of every single table. Like less red cards, most penalties, less fouls, just all a coincidence, Willie, you know. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. But I hope we're not speaking about refs too much this season, Gary, because it's boring as anything. It's boring coming on a podcast and speaking about the refs or this and refs or that. So we don't want them to have an influence on. We need to get close enough to Celtic for them to have an influence right enough. But if we do, we don't want them making bad decisions. They have to get better, because it's not just us. It's for every team. The decisions they're making last season was bonkers. So hopefully they've had some good training in the summer. And I hope it'd be good to see an injection of a few new refs, you know, maybe so if we could maybe find one or two decent ones. We've always had in the past, like going back 10 years, one or two decent ones. But nowadays, it's just like they're all completely shite. And it's like, how is that possible? It's amazing. But so hopefully they get better for the new season, Gary.
Yeah. Ross, so I will ask you a question about the game, but it's not about the game as such, if that makes any sense. So one of the things that happened is Iggerman was not playing after playing 15, 20 minutes on the Tuesday night. He wasn't playing. Russell Martin said he had a slight knock. Your thoughts on that? Do you think that's maybe more linked to a transfer than it is to an injury?
I nearly said you would hope so. I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted by it, Gary. I think that it's clear at this point we've speculated to accumulate to the tune of probably 15 million on players. But I've seen some figures a day on Twitter, and it's like the 8 or 10 players that we've said are free to go is about £7 million a year in wages, and that is crazy. And I kind of thought about that and thought about like £1 million a year per player, but it's players like Davies and Matondo and players that are on that Beale brought in and gave them these big English Premier League wages on free contracts and whatever to get them up here, and now we can't get rid of them. Dowell will be another one who'll be on a decent wage. So I think Iggerman is potentially one that if he was to leave and you were to get 15, 16 million, if you've got Don Turgeman waiting to come in and you've maybe got a couple of wingers and hopefully he's got a left back in his vegan backpack for us. Hopefully there's that might be what we need to spur on, because it looks as if the interest in Dessers seems to have cooled. So it's like, where is the influx, the big sale going to come from? And interest in Raskin seems to have cooled as well. So I want to see Iggerman playing in a Rangers team for another year, because I think he could develop more, especially under a style of football where he's going to get more chances and be more involved, definitely. But I also think that if he's the one that's going to allow us to go and get another 2 or 3 additions in places where it's glaringly obvious we need them, then I would be happy for him to go and get that massive profit. On Russell Martin's comments on him, I don't know. Has he maybe just took a knock, and him and Asgard are ones that they're thinking you could have put them in Saturday and risked them, but with such a big monumentous tie on Wednesday, is it worth putting them on and maybe them tweaking something or having a wee setback when there's such a big game on the horizon for the sake of essentially a glamorised training game?
No, I definitely think that's if you're looking at Igaman. Well, in fact, if you look at Ross, at the fact that you're saying £7 million wages, now say they've got market value, and I'm being generous here for the 7 of them of about £8 million if you put them all together, potentially. That's a £15 million swing, and that just covers the current signings effectively. So you do, I mean, you're running a business, you can't keep bringing players in without balancing the books somehow. And what's that thing? There's 37 players in the Rangers first team squad or something at the moment. And it's a necessity that players need to go, and if one big sale part of that, as well as other ones, Ross, I think it's crucial, isn't it?
If we sign another 2 players, they're going to need to print the match day programme in A4 so they can fit them on the back of it. Mate, it's that simple, isn't it? If you're looking at, say, Dowell will be on 20 grand a week anyway, coming fingering to lure him up here. Ben Davies the same. Bajrami will be on a decent wage, coming in at £4 million. Players like that that are no giving you anything. Cortez will be on a decent wage. By all accounts, I hear he worked hard on Saturday, but never really offered much. So these are all players that we've went quite heavy on in transfer fees that we're never going to recoup what we've put into them. But at the same time, they're no good enough to get on the park consistently enough to give us a profit. So as you say, Gary, a lot of time it's going to be cutting your losses with these guys, taking what you can get for them and looking at it over the next 3 years. You'll save X amount of money and then reinvesting that in the team. Even Russell Martin spoke about the fact that when Proper left, there's probably a full nucleus of decent players that are training on their own away for the team because he just doesn't have enough room on the training field. And that in itself is not a good situation for anybody, is it? Where you've got guys that are getting paid 20 grand a week and they're training on the park next, watching through the blue fence to see what the first team are up to. It's just not a good situation for anybody, and it's probably no good for the overall ambience shown about the club when you've got players that are friends off the training park, and then when it's like the boy in the striped pajamas, they're looking through the fence at each other, and there's a class difference. Do you know what I'm talking about? In the training, and folk being around the place that want to be here but have been told they're no good enough. But you've got other ones that maybe want to move on, but they can't be sold yet. It must be a bit topsy-turvy, I would imagine, in the full place of the building. And as we know, Russell Martin's a Zen Buddhist man. He likes the place to be calm and peaceful. And I just think naturally there must be so much turmoil behind the scenes with players feeling a bit dejected and other players are way up there, and then you're watching your mate, and it's not great, is it?
No, I think that's a great point, actually, because we forget a lot of the time they're human beings, you know, all that sort of stuff that goes in it. There's emotions, there's friendships, there's relationships, and Russell Martin's trying to build a new culture, if that we call it, and it's hard to do when you've got 10 guys that have been told you're no part of that culture going forward. It creates that kind of, as you said, divide, a little bit of animosity and potentially some sort of challenge around there. Ricky's off again. Scott, just to go back to the game, and not particularly the game itself, I'm just doing that because you said you didn't want to, so that's why I'm coming back to that. Now, I just want to pick up a couple of players. There was a bit of criticism probably about Connor Barron, right? So I'm going to pick up the good and the bad. So there's a bit of criticism about Connor Barron after the game when you read some of the comments. And I suppose from the good side, it's first sighting of Lyle Cameron in a Rangers jersey that I can remember seeing properly. And he kind of acquitted himself really well.
Yeah, I thought Lyle Cameron done well. This is the kind of football he'll be good at. He can play the ball around the corner. He likes the one-touch stuff. His movement's good. He plays with his head up. Whereas Connor Barron's opposite. He's more likes to get involved. Likes to put in tackles. Likes to, we're saying kick and rush, but that's his game. Likes to spoil things for our opposition. And I think Barron will play at points this season. I think he will come on at other times, but I think we were going to go under Martin so far with what we've seen and what we kind of know we read about him and what we've seen at previous clubs. He's signing players who are technically good and they're footballers. Do you know what I mean? They've had a bit of physicality because the guys have been looking to sign have got a bit of height. As in the boy Antman, I think he's 6'1" or something. So he's looking for more physicality, a wee bit of height in the side. But I think he's looking for footballers, Gary, who can take the ball in tight, take the ball in close, difficult situations, but can work their way out it and can pass, he can move, first touch left or right, and they're good at what they do, but Connor Barron, I'm not sure where he'll stand. I think, let's say, he will be used, but the bigger the squad gets, he's not going to see a lot of game time just because there's that many people there. But I mean, Ross did make a point with the boys saying that there's a lot, but that's like a lot of teams. The more players you have, then a new manager comes in, and it's not these players' fault. Like we've seen with Propper's a decent defender, had a lot of experience coming from Holland. And if it was maybe it wasn't Rangers, it maybe not, maybe I stayed where he was or somebody else. But I think he wanted to try abroad, play in Europe. And it just for some reason didn't work for him. I think he was a good footballer, but the physicality of Scottish League he couldn't cope with. In Europe he was actually okay, but the physicality of Scottish League again I struggle with. And Martin did say that. There's no animosity against him personally. It's a business. It's not what I mean. So he has to go with who he thinks is best and has to leave guys out. And these guys will know that deep down, they will. But you just can't tell them they have to go because, like us, would do it if somebody gave you a contract for 20 grand a week for 4 years and then said to you after a year and a half, 2 years, we don't want you to leave, you will leave, but give me what you owe me or sell me to somebody who I can get the same money. So it can be difficult. It wasn't these guys' fault they got offered the contract. That was put in front of them, they signed it. So I will take a bit of time, I'll take a bit of back and forth, but I do think most will move on either on loan or permanent transfers, but I think maybe the fees will be lower than maybe want.
No, something it's about the last season. Somebody didn't really clear the decks with some players and get very little cash in for them. Unfortunately, guys like Rabbi Matondo have only got a year left of their contract, I think. So this maybe not as bad to pay out. Ricky, just picking up on some of the players that impressed in. So we talked about Cameron done really well. Obviously, Danilo and Curtis both came on and scored again. And I think that's 5 for Danilo and 3 for Curtis in 3 home games.
It was a strange game, Gary, because I know people are saying it's only a pre-season friendly, but the difference on 60 minutes when the first team came on was just absolutely sensational. It was because Middlesbrough were all over us basically for 60 minutes. We were in with a little sporadics, decent play, and we had some decent moves like we did against Panathinaikos. But in the whole, I mean, I thought Gentle's done well. I like to give Gentles a shout out. He you could see he was up for it and he put himself about. But when the subs came on in 60 minutes, it was just like someone switched it, turned Rangers on because we absolutely dominated Middlesbrough. We won that 30 minutes 2-0, and again, young Curtis. I mean, I was arguing with people on X. Some Rangers fans are honestly, man, they'll drive you absolutely crazy. They want to crucify a kid when he comes into the team. He scored a goal. He had a hand in the first goal. You know, the first goal he turns his man and then lays it off to Max Aarons. Great ball in. Good to see Danilo looking like a striker as well with good movement. Great ball into the box. Great finish for Danilo. So it was when the first team players come on. Raskin looked really sharp as well. Martin highlighted that after the match as well. He thought that's the best he's seen him play since he's came into Rangers out all the pre-season games. So I took a lot out of that performance, and I was a little bit worried for tomorrow. Tomorrow was it? Monday? Wednesday. I was a little bit worried going over to Athens, but then after I watched that 30 minutes, I thought that these players are starting to click together. You can really see something starting to happen. They're starting to understand a bit more where they're supposed to be. The one-touch passing was absolutely excellent. So from going through 60 minutes, the Middlesbrough dominating us, and you're thinking to yourself, Jesus, I mean, is this how bad our squad is? You actually came away from 90 minutes thinking, wow, our first team is really starting to click. So I'm excited for Athens on Wednesday, and then I'm really excited about Saturday because I think if he gets that, he's got enough players now, especially if we bring in these other 2 wingers. He's got enough players now to really get us the type of football he wants to see and get that team purring. So I'm excited to see what we do away from home at Motherwell. I can really see us going out there and blowing them away. So I took a lot from that 30 minutes from the first team when they came on the park. The difference was night and day. And it was great to see Curtis continuing his form. It was great to see players looking a lot more comfortable. And even when the players came on, Barron looked a lot more comfortable. Cameron was outstanding. Lyle Cameron, driving forward every time he got the ball, always in the right position, always trying to do something. I mean, he nearly scored a great goal, but Danilo wouldn't get out his bloody way when he just tried to get a shot away and then it hit off. I think it hit off the Middlesbrough boy and he ended up getting a corner. So there was a lot of positives to take from that 30 minutes, Gary.
No, definitely. I suppose we're going to move on to transfers in a second, Ross, but I suppose my question before we move on to the transfers, because it probably it's interlinked. So Ricky's talked about Curtis there, an 18-year-old boy, 3 goals and 3 Ibrox appearances. We are looking at a lot of wingers. Now, forget the names at this moment in time, so we'll cover them in a moment, but do you think how do you think it's going to play out for him as the season goes on? And I suppose my question is, if we start to bring in players left, right and centre for that space.
I think he's obviously got something to offer Rangers. I think he's proven that. But again, it's another one of the reasons I'm glad that I'm no Russell Martin, because you're bringing in Gassama, you're talking about this young super kid from Man City. We're looking at the boy for Crystal Palace. You've got this Finnish boy coming in. I don't think we're spending $5 million in loaning genuine world-class 17-year-olds, like proper, as highly rated as they come. He's not been sent up here not to play. So the thing is then, do you stifle Curtis's development? Now that he's had a good pre-season and a good start to friendlies and a couple of games in Europe, do you put him on loan at a decent level, or do you keep him here where his minutes are going to be stifled, and does he end up in that Bailey Rice camp where you've got a cracker there, but there's just that much quality ahead of them that they don't get the time or the minutes they deserve? Because the boy from Man City plays on the left, Gassama plays on the left, cutting in on his right. The boy from Crystal Palace, we were interested in this Finnish boy, can both play both sides. But if you've got Gassama and the boy from Man City playing on the left, and that's where Curtis is playing, then as good as Curtis has been in pre-season, do you get what I'm saying? I'm not, even if you maybe had one ahead of him and you were saying, right, Gassama's going to play the European ties, and then Finlay Curtis can play the games against Livy or against Dundee or against Hibs or whatever away on the Sunday after the European night before. But if you've got 2 genuine players that are worth a lot of money, that I just don't know. It's the reason I'm glad that I'm sitting here in my comfy clothes and not sitting in Lucy Pinder's house with Russell Martin's vegan brown slippers on, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing you're sitting in Lucy Pinder's house, I'm sure, for a lot of people would suggest, but that's a different point. Scott, I see you shaking your head there. So as Ross says, we've got potentially, we've got Gassama, and we did forget Cortez, who we did pay $4.3 million for it as well. So he is one of the other ones. We can debate how good he is or not. But Cortez, Gassama, this boy Mikey Moore, potentially the Finnish boy Antman, Raksaki, and I might be missing one, but Curtis may struggle as time goes by to get. I think you'd like to see him play a lot, but how that happens, I'm not quite sure.
I think Curtis will play a minimum of 20 games this season. Whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench, and I think he'll score double figures in goals. I think the boy is that good, and I think he's been scoring goals for youth level, and the scoring goals are a very hard part of football because not everybody can do it, but he knows where the net is. I'm not saying he's going to play every week, but we're going to have a lot of games, and if he can play 3 of the wingers 20 games each, do you know what I mean? Rotate them instead of playing maybe like we've done previous years, one guy's playing 50 odd games. Because Mikey Moore's going to, if he does come in, it could end up being like an Ahmad situation. You know how well he's turned out now at Man United and now when he went to Sunderland, but he came into Rangers with a cut up by game and everybody wrote him off. Because that's how easy it happens up here. Do you know what I mean? He scored against Ross County, after that he disappeared and people were saying he was shit. And then you've got the boy Gassama, he scored against Arnight, but if it's a cut up by games, people start to question that. Cortez, he get plaudits. If Martin, even though he didn't say he done well, he's endeavour, and like Ross said earlier, he was getting involved, he was trying stuff, so but he was playing right back. Then you've got Asgard who can play. You've got many tens because the boy Mike can play left, right, and a 10. This is coming. I should use a message. This is coming for the boy. It's a small season ticket holder. He knows more about it than me. He said he's quick, but he's not fast. But he's very good with the ball at his feet. He runs with the ball at his feet. It's like stuck to his feet. So he said he's that good, but he's going to come, like you said earlier, Gary. I watched you on another pod and you said with guarantees, because that usually happens with loan deals. But no every manager sticks to guarantees. If it doesn't happen, then they end up getting back or whatever. I think Curtis has put himself in a very good position not to be left out. I'm not saying start, but not to be left out, because the manager knows he can count on him scoring goals. And he's done that well. He's given Martin a bit of an issue. Maybe didn't think he was going to be thing me. Plus, Curtis will make us money more than other guys will, because we've got him for nothing. You know yourself, English teams, to see Curtis playing a few games, scored a good few goals in Europe. An English club come in and say we'll give you 10, 50 million for him, like done with Nathan Patterson. I'm not saying that's going to happen either, but I think you have to. Curtis away ahead at a Brother Rangers Academy player at the moment come in, because he's done it in the first team a few times, not just once. He's done it and he's started, and Bailey Rice is kind of stagnated. He's a maybe a loan deal now, like Bailey Rice. But I think Curtis, you've got to. You couldn't send him out on loan. See, if I was Finlay Curtis and sent me on loan, I'd tell you to fuck off, because I've done everything somebody else has done that's worth 4, 5, 6 million. I've done everything they've done, so why should I be the one getting loan? But that's just what I would say if I was in his shoes.
So sticking with that then, so as you've said, Mikey Moore, 17-year-old Tottenham wonder kid, played 20 games or so last season in the Europa League in the league for them. He is apparently very, very close to signing. As Scott says, he's not coming up here. Tottenham wouldn't send him up here if he's not going to play, and they'll get some sort of guarantees around playing. And if we don't, we'll pay a lot of money to cover those guarantees. So the question, I suppose, would be, as much as anything else, is it the right thing to do to bring in Mikey Moore when you have an 18-year-old boy that is a Rangers fan at 6 and developing well?
100%, Gary, because Ross alluded to it earlier. The squad was written down on a piece of paper in the programme. But let's be brutally honest, mate. I looked at it today, and 2/3 of it is just absolute dross. Absolute dross. So Russell Martin needs as many quality players as he can possibly get. I mean, this guy plays in the 10. You might the season could look quite tired quite early, right? Raskin might not suit the system, or Asgard might come in. So there's no guarantees that every single piece of the jigsaw is going to completely fit straight away. Scottish football is completely unique. You're going away to weird grounds. We're playing Livingston this season. We're playing weird teams away. We need as much quality. Russell Martin needs as much quality in that squad as he can possibly get. And I can tell you now, Curtis is not giving a shit about Michael Moore coming in, Antman coming in from Marvel, from Finland. He's not bothered about any of that nonsense, man. This kid is focused. He's brilliant. His mum's putting him to bed at 7:30 at night with a cup of tea, tucking him in, making sure he's getting his sleep. That's his superpower, and he's ready for Ant-Man at training in the morning, man. He's already said, I'm going to push these players out of the way. I don't care who's in my position. If you look at his, I'm not being cheeky to Rice, right? But he really disappointed me with his performance against Middlesbrough. And you look at the body language of Curtis. I know that's just his personality and everything, but Rice needs to get a bit more dog in him like Curtis has got. Curtis looks keen and like gentles. They look keen when they're on the park. And if we sign Curtis in pre-season from another team, from foreign, and his name was Cortez. If Cortez was playing like Curtis in pre-season, 3 goals, 3 absolute cracking goals, we would be absolutely raving about Cortez, going, oh, brilliant, we knew, we've got him fit, 4.5 million, what a player. So don't worry about players coming in. I totally agree we need to get rid of 10 or 12 players to go out, but don't worry about quality players coming in. This is Rangers. We need as many quality players in every position as we can possibly. If the Americans think it's right to bring in these players with Felwell and Stenson, and I believe it was Stenson had a big part to play in bringing this boy in from Spurs, is what I'm led to believe. So if that's the case, then trust the process. Trust these guys are trying to do what the best they can. They know they can't spend 100 million. So you're looking at the players we've got on loan, Gary, so far, and they're really, really impressive. So for me, more the merrier, more the better. And it'd be great if we can get Ant-Man, Raksaki, Cherny, Seema, bring them all in, man.
There's maybe not enough places there in terms of age. See, before we get to transfers, Ross, last question, I suppose, because also today 2 young academy players were swiped by Newcastle as well. So good, Oliver, good brand, and I can't remember what the other boy's name is. So I suppose that's one of the challenges, is that our best players do get taken anyway. by English clubs, and then we've also got ones like Rice, Curtis, Hutton, Gentles, etc. And as we look to rebuild and become the team we once were, again, it becomes harder and harder for them to really contribute.
I just think it's the nature of football nowadays. You've got Chelsea sign every player. Every time FIFA comes out and there's a young player rated above 62, they just sign him on a 10-year deal, mate. Like, football now is just about the big teams holding as good as they can get. So if you're a young boy and you're looking at 15, 16, your first professional contract, and you're looking at Rangers offering you $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week if you're a proper superstar, a Bailey Rice, maybe $5,000 a week. Newcastle probably pay that to the guys that are cleaning the boots for the academy players. Do you know what I'm talking about? So
Yeah.
if you're a young player, it's a short career, innit? If you're only 15, 16 and you don't make it, you want to earn, especially young people now, they want to earn as much money as they can as quickly as they can. I'm trying to think who it was I watched before that spoke about it. So, you've got young boys walking into the under-16s and under-17s with Louis Vuitton wash bags under their arms with £300 aftershave in it and all that sort of stuff. It's not like the olden days. I remember Xander coming through at St Johnstone, so you're not even talking that long ago. You're maybe talking 15 years ago, and he used to have to clean Aaron Main's boots every single training session. He wasn't allowed to wear black boots until he'd made 10 appearances in the first team, and they weren't allowed to wear coloured boots, and he used to have to take Aaron Main's goalie gloves into the shower with him and clean them by hand because you couldn't put them in the... But see, now that's all gone. The academy players now are so well looked after, and I think that we've lost, even players coming through have lost a bit of that hunger to make it. They want to get appearances so that they can wear a pair of Predis rather than a pair of Copa Mundials or World Cups. They want to have somebody washing their boots for them. That's something to look forward to. Whereas now, football players, as soon as you hit 15 or 16, you've made it. And like that, as I say, the English Premier League, they'll just offer you money that we're probably paying. We're probably paying Lyle Cameron about $7 or $8 a week. Do you know what I mean? And that's what they boys will get going to Newcastle just because they've got potential. And see, 3 or 4 years down the line, if they don't make it there, Newcastle will just release them, and that's it. And that's it. But what I would say is, and during Gerrard's term, when you had like the Aribos and that, we should also now be going back to the English market and then that cross-border fee for young players and paying 250 grand cross-border fees for boys that could end up worth X amount as well. So that it's probably something that's gone both ways, and we feel the pain of it because we are looking to bring young players through because we don't have the money to go out and spend superstar money on superstar players. But it's always going to happen, Gary, because the bright lights of the Premier League, and if you're a young boy at 15 or 16 and Newcastle are kind of flashing their knickers at you, and then these young boys have all got agents now as well. They'll have an agent telling them where to go, and they'll have an agent looking after that. 15, 16 years of age, an agent taking 2% of everything they earn for the rest of their career for some guy in a suit to tell them where to go and what to do, and I'll get the best deal for you. Bonkers. Really is bonkers.
As 100%. And I think, my old neighbour played across the city, and I think a 16-year-old Scotland under 18 went into Man City. Never played again. I think he's 21 now, maybe just been released by them, moved to Wrexham, I think he's now about a club, and that's just say they churn them in, then churn them back out a lot of the time, whereas but there's always that gamble if you're that player that you might go and make it, which is why everybody does it, and it's the risk they take. So in terms, Scott, we've got a couple of signings potentially, and Antman allegedly that came out yesterday from nowhere with a £5 million signing. Raksaki's been still, well, was it last Friday or Saturday? I can't keep up now. It was 10 million. He was pretty much signing, and then Mikey Moore. So 3 big potential rumours at the one time. Do you think? I mean, I certainly find it unlikely we're going to sign 2 right wingers, a £5 million one to sit on the bench while the 10 million one plays. Do you think that some of this is contingencies?
I think it'll be 2 to 3, Gary. I don't think it'll be 3 of them. I think it'll be 2 to 3. I think it'll probably Antman, because by all accounts that's a done deal. Until he actually signs, then we can't really say that until we see him with the scarf. But everybody's saying it's signed. Even I think papers for abroad are saying it. He's signed with Rangers, everything's kind of done and dusted. Mikey Moore, it's supposed to be near about here, so because he's not away on loan with Tottenham, he's still here, and they said they can go out on loan, and we'll see what happens with that one. But Saki, I think he got injured, didn't he, at weekend by all accounts, so I think it was against Millwall we actually got an injury. It was last week, last midweek. So I don't think we'll sign 3. I don't think we can carry 3. I think because we've still got Cortez, you've still got Curtis, you've got Barami there as well. You've got we've got so many. We've got so many. Asgard can play wing, he can play the 10, Cameron can play the 10, Mikey Moore can play the 10. It's just, as I said to Ricky, we're going to have 2 centre backs now. Yes, they're just going to be going forward, and that's basically what's going to happen, because that's the way. Because everybody's looking at it's either 10s, wingers, and nothing else. You're not looking at left backs or centre forwards, but I will say, right enough, I think if we can sign people who can score from middle of the park and further forward, then we maybe have to rely so much on Dessers, and Ricky might not have so many rants about Dessers in the coming season.
Possibly. Still, if he plays, still score 30 goals. Ricky, on players going out then, right? So I just want to pick up some of them. So one of them is we have Ross McCausland, who's going to look for somewhere to lodge in Cyprus, I believe, very soon. Do you have a spare bedroom for him?
No, but it's disappointing. I'm disappointed that one's only on loan. I was hoping that was going to be a permanent deal. He's signing for Limassol and Arsenal. I mean, Jesus, he's all right. You'll get a shock of his life when he arrives in Cyprus with that skin of his, man. He'll just be a puddle after 3 training sessions on the ground. It'll be like the Wizard of Oz. So he's going to have to wear Factor. They're going to have to make up new sun cream for him, and the kid's going to be, because they have to train at night and everything over here. It'll be completely bizarre for them, because they've got to train at night and then they sleep during the day. It's completely weird. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how he gets on. I'm going to be watching a lot of APOL games next season. So I look forward to seeing him when he comes to Nicosia. But it's just not worked out for the kid. I mean, we don't. I wish all these players the best, the ones that are like McCausland and stuff like that. But there's about 10, 11, 12 players, Gary, that I would like to see move on. I mean, if we forget about all the players that we know that we're going to move on, what are we going to do with players like Bajrami? Is Yefte going to be staying? We know that Yilmaz is going back to Turkey. That's looking like it's pretty close and stuff like that. But if Russell Martin completely doesn't fancy these guys, are they going to be moved on as well? Because if we're bringing in Mikey Moore, who can play in the 10, and other players that can play in the 10, and it's all their own fault. They get chances and they do basically nothing with it. So if these guys are not doing well in the warm-up and stuff like that, then it's time to move on a lot of these players, Gary. And I know people say it's difficult to move them on, and it is difficult to move them on, but you'll be surprised by the time we get to September, there's always a team that's willing to take these players on loan just on reputation alone. Like teams around Europe, there's not that many good players or great players for teams that are scrambling around Europe. So you'll be surprised with how our squad is going to look once we reach September. I think I totally agree. Russell Martin keeps alluding to it. I think he wanted a bit more done before the European matches, but it's very, very difficult it was slow moving the players on. But I think we're all going to be in for a good surprise when we get to September.
Yeah, and Ross, we talk about Radvan allegedly going to Turkey, as he has been for the last 4 years, but for some reason he's still not away yet. So Besiktas are ready, but probably as a loan deal as well, actually, apparently, isn't it? Is it Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? So you've got him, and I read earlier on, just before we come on the pod, that Ben Davies most likely won't be going to Birmingham, because Birmingham now have signed another centre-half and have 4 of them, and the manager's words were, unless we get rid of it, unless one of those leave, we probably won't be signing another one. So they're probably the other 2 that were most desperate to get out just now, because Madonna's injured, so we can't include him in that.
We're nearly as desperate to get rid of him as Ricky is to move Ross McCausland into the house. So for the first time in his adult life, he's not the ugliest guy in the house. Mate, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it? No more in until we can start getting ones out. That's the chain of events. I always liken it to selling a house, innit? You want to buy a nicer, bigger house, but you need somebody that's looking for your wee house, and that's an upgrade for them. So that's like, for us to get Radvan out, and he's not much of a house, to be fair. He's like the tent I was sleeping in at the weekend in stature, isn't he? But Ridvan, if we can get rid of him, ideally you want to get rid of him on a permanent, don't you? You want to just shut that chapter. Another one that we never hit on earlier on, who's £4.5 million plus add-ons, and he's offered the middle of a parliament the full time he's been here. Absolute nothing. He's had one possibly good season since he's been. Just what strikes me is, see the players we want to get out. It's all the players we've went big on. We seem to do quite well shopping in the cheaper markets, and it seems to be when we go all in on players and want to start pushing the bank. It's another one, Cifuentes, that we've just not had good decision makers, and hopefully that'll be the biggest improvement we see. We're now looking to go and spend £5 million on this Finnish boy. We've spent, was it £3.5 million on Asgard, £2.5 million on Gassama. So hopefully the scouting is a bit better, maybe a bit more data driven, but getting the right calibre of people as opposed to getting a player that looks flashy in another league but comes up here and Declan Gallagher sticks an elbow right in the back of his head after 2 minutes and they're no seen again. So recruitment overall's got to be better, but that's just the story we're in as well, Gary. The new is that we would ideally, I would imagine, we'd like to get a left-sided centre half in, but we can't get one in until we get one out. 100% for what I've seen is in pre-season, we need a left back, because I thought that stifled Curtis in the first game against Panathinaikos. The fact that Max Aarons is constantly having to turn infield because he's not got a left foot. Curtis is away up the line waiting for the ball to get played. Aarons is then having to turn back in on himself, and within 10 minutes of the game, their centre mid went, all right, every time Aarons gets the ball, I'm just going to jump the press and come in on his blind side or his left shoulder, rob them twice. So we're in the place where we need to get rid of somebody for the left back and potentially a centre half to enable us to get an R2 in. Because with Ridvan sitting on the wages he's on and Hefty having to have a place in the team whereby we can try and mould him and develop him into what Russell Martin's looking at, because there is a player in there. Can he play the Russell Martin way? Who knows? But Ridvan, Cifuentes, McCausland, you want to be getting rid of these guys on permanence. I know that if you can, a loan's the next best thing, but a lot of the time with the loans, we're going to be paying certain percentage of their wages and stuff. You want to just close the book on that and move forward into a new era with players that are going to be here long term, in my opinion.
No. Or you end up with them back, like Rabbi Matondo or Cifuentes, guys like that, and then you go back through the same process again, trying to move them on. Scott, you've talked a lot about Ben Davies going, just while it was in my head there, to Birmingham, and how you thought that was probably going to be happening. As I say, I read earlier on that they don't no longer appear interested in him, which is a bit disappointing. He is. We forget about him, but £3.5 million signing, 30 grand a week, and rumoured, and a big wage earner.
So I like Ben Davies as well, Gary. I think he could play the way Russell Martin wants, but I just don't think he suits the game. I know that's a cliche, but he struggles in Scotland. I thought he was really good for Birmingham, and a lot of their fans were wondering why they never signed him, because he was one of their better players last season. I know they got promoted, but he's played in the Championship most of his career, and he's been captain in the Championship of the club he played for. So I thought there's no brainer they were buying him. A lot of people I spoke to thought the same. But Birmingham's got a bit of money, so they're spending it on players from abroad, players they think are better, and do you know that way? So I still see him getting back to the Championship. I still see a Championship teams be interested in him, maybe even League One teams, because majority of his career is spent down there, and he performs well down there. So I see him still getting back to England. I just don't know where it'll be, but I think he will be out the door come September, to be honest with you.
Right. And that's the thing, a lot of them might not actually go until towards the end of September, and a lot of it will also depend on what we do in terms of Europe. So there's so many other moving parts before we know who's going to come in, who's going to go out, and that sort of stuff, and what money we have to spend. So it's not all going to be built ready by Saturday at 5:30, and there's another period of time to happen over the next month. But what does matter, Ricky, is on Wednesday night we play the second leg against Panathinaikos. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm slightly more nervous than I have been, because in Gio's time and in Clement's time, to be fair, we knew how they play in Europe, and they got success counter-attacking and sitting and playing a certain way. Now, Russell Martin, we have no idea how he's going to approach a game like this. How do you see it, or like you, or like me, sorry, more nervous about the style?
I was before Saturday, mate. I'll be honest with you. I was before. Why? Have you half time last week? I was absolutely shitting myself. I'll be honest with you. Half time last week in Ibrox, as I said to you at half time, I thought, oh my God, we've got absolutely no chance of beating this team. We're all over the place. Then at full time, we won 2-0 with 10 men. You were disappointed you didn't win 3-0. And then I know it was only a friendly against Middlesbrough, so people are going to go, don't get too carried away. But I could see things starting to click when the players came on the park. I mean, listen, the team that came on against Middlesbrough, except with this, basically that started at Ibrox last week, will be the team that starts in Greece, 100%. Dillon was going to start on the right. Curtis is going to start on the left because Sam is going to come off the bench. That is 1,000,000% the team that he's going to pick, because Asgard is not fit enough, and he's not going to risk him with it. He might be out for two months if he comes back, a thigh injury. He makes it worse and stuff like that. So we know the team that he's going to play, and I think it's going to be exciting, Gary. I think Rangers will get. I think we'll go through, and I think that Martin. He might be naive. He was naive when he came into the Premier League, but I think he's going to go away from home in Europe, and he's going to try and play football. And me personally, listen, we have to get past this team on Wednesday night. It'll be the biggest disaster in years if we go out to this team, because we know how hard it gets for the Europa League and stuff like that. Shakhtar Donetsk is a Champions League team that you're going to be playing to get into the Europa League. So it is super important. But once we get through this match, I'd rather watch us try and play football away from home in Europe like we have done under Gerrard for the last 4 seasons, than I would under what Barry Ferguson tried to do in Spain against Bilbao, with this 5-7 defenders just trying the siege nonsense, especially when you're getting beaten. It makes absolutely no sense. That to me is not football. It's prehistoric. It's Scottishness. It's absolute worse. We've got players. We're a massive team in Europe, no matter what anyone says. And people enjoy Rangers. Like the year we got to the UEFA Cup final and bored the tournament to death. It was much more exciting when we got to the final in Spain against Frankfurt, and we actually played football. And that's what I want to see from the Russell Martin team. And 100% that's what he's going to do. He's going to play the same way in Athens as he is at Fir Park on Saturday, and we know he's going to do that. There's no way he's going to go 3-5-2 and try and sit in and defend and stuff like that. He maybe should, but that's just not his personality, and it's not the way he sees football. And us as Rangers fans, we just need to get used to that, mate, because that's the way it's going to be. Everything is going to be on his terms, as simple as that.
So Ricky, as Robert says, or Ricky says it as it is. So Ross, do you think Ricky's saying it as it is, or do you think they might look at something like a 3-5-2? Do you think he might? As I think that there was a comment up here about, do you think you start with Gassama?
See, even if he does play 3-5-2, it's going to be a 3-5-2. It's not going to be a 3-5-2, but it's actually a 5-4-1, because you've got folks sitting. He told you when he came in. That the formation might change, but his Rangers team every game will run, press, try and be on the front foot and try and win games. And for anybody who doubts that, just go back and watch. He went to the Etihad with Southampton, and he went to Old Trafford with Southampton, he went to Stamford Bridge with Southampton and played the same way. He might put out a more solid team with 3 centre-halves, but see if he's playing 3 centre-halves just sitting with a sitter in front of him, he's going to have his 2 wing-backs high up and pressing. That's just the way the guy, that's just his philosophy on football, and it's what's got him this job. Because see, at the end of the day, we want shiny things in our cupboard, and the best chance of getting shiny things in the trophy cabinet is by playing aggressive, attacking, front foot football and domestically, and it might work to your detriment in Europe. You might not get to another European final while Russell Martin's in charge of the club, but he'll give you the best chance possible of going and winning a league and a cup in Scotland. And I think that we are, as a fan base, I would certainly trade off a good European run for a wee league and cup double this season. I don't know about you boys, but to me, that's why he's got the job. He's done it. He's proved it twice in the Championship. He took Leeds, who were high-end, mid-table, and managed to get them promoted. He's then went to Southampton, and then Leeds. So he's got experience of being one of the better teams and going and attacking and controlling the ball and getting success in leagues. And Leeds, my head's up my hole. I was talking about Man City earlier on for the boy for Spurs and all. He beat the final. You get what I'm saying? He's went up through the Championship twice. So I think when you look at him as Rangers manager, he's never had the chance to implement that style where he is the elite level of the pond that he's swimming in. And I think that we'll have a good chance this year of domestic success playing the way he wants to play, but it could come to our detriment in Europe. I think what Ricky's saying is right. We need to get through this particular tie, but if you manage to get your way into the Champions League, it could be similar to Celtic. You could be looking at going to places and getting 4 and 5-1 defeats because his style of play. He's not scared to go to the big dogs patch with a team of wee chihuahuas and try and play them at their own game. And he done it to his detriment. It cost him his job at Southampton, but he done it.
And you're right. I was just thinking when the team across the road, the manager was often criticised, wasn't he, for not changing his tactics over the years, and doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, as I say. So, Scott, I suppose in terms of the team decisions, so the big ones, I suppose, are Curtis versus or Gassama, depending on his fitness. Dowell is obviously mentioned in the comments a few times. Who plays up front? Is it Danilo, who's probably not great at holding the ball up, but can do other things around the game? So, do you expect, or do you think it'll be, as Ricky says, it'll be exactly the same 11 that started last Tuesday night?
I think it'll be the same 11 myself. Maybe one change at a push, but I would go with the same 11. Just because everybody else isn't up to starting yet. I mean, Gassama we don't know how he is after the weekend, and is he only starting? Does he play left? Does he play right? Or does he leave Curtis out, who's bagged him a couple of goals recently? Does he put Dowell in because he maybe thinks it's defensively a wee bit more? I mean, Danilo's got a wee bit more confidence because he's scored a couple of goals now. Dessers never really mentioned, and obviously a man's not anywhere near fit to start. So I think it goes with the same side. I don't think it will be that difficult on Wednesday. I could be wrong. I think we'll get through. It might be a score draw. We might sneak it, but I think we'll get through either way. I don't think Panathinaikos have got that much to worry. I think last Tuesday we worried ourselves more than they did. I think if we weren't so sloppy, they wouldn't have created as many chances. I think most of their chances came for us giving the ball away, Gary. But that's just my view on it. And I think we've learned for that, and I think we'll get a goal over there. And I think that's enough to take us through. Will I be going any further? Who knows? But I agree with Ross and Ricky. I think we have to get through this one anyway.
No, this is the one that gets us best part of 17 million, 20 million, whatever it may be, in playing some sort of European football. So Ricky and Scott both say the same team, Ross. So just before I go around, do you think we'll be the same team? I personally don't, so that's why I'm coming to see you and agree with the other two.
I think you could see. It's hard, isn't it? Because the one that we would all change is the one that he doesn't seem as if he will, and that's Dowell. Finlay Curtis and Danilo's form so far in the pre-season games and the goals, the boys are right. Like, they deserve to keep their place. But I also look at, would Antman offer you a bit more and being solid and holding the ball up front a bit better than Danilo maybe did at Ibrox, especially away from home? I think Dowell is being saved now by the fact he's the only left-footed player that must live within a 100-mile radius of Mulgai in the training centre, because the team the other night of the 11, I think he was only left-footed player in there. There were 4 right-footed players in the back 4. So I think Dowell's there because the formation relies on that winger to cut inside in order to free the wing up for Tavernier. Similar to what Gerrard done with Aribo. He put somebody left-footed on the right and somebody right-footed on the left to cut in and narrow the pitch and create spaces. I would maybe move Dowell out personally and move Curtis to the right. I think they'll come at us early, and I think it would be good to have somebody with Gassama's pace and technical ability to try and kill the game stone dead. I think it's got to be fast and frantic. I think they'll take chances early doors, and I think that we could potentially, if we can beat the press once or twice. I also think if you've got Gassama on there with that natural pace, it potentially stifles their idea of playing a high line right for the start, so it maybe keeps some of the pressure off you. I would potentially swap out Dowell for Gassama, but I don't know how that would affect it. Having Cortez can play right back in the changing rooms for me forever. Cortez is just going to be another one that we speak about at the end of the season as an expensive mistake, mate. I've said it on here plenty of times. Too much argument for the comments, but you're now looking at the 4th or 5th manager who've come in and are not interested in him. Just no great in my opinion. So I think the boy Finlay Curtis deserves to keep his place, but I would also definitely be looking to inject Gassama's pace in there somewhere, and that's before we even look at if Asgard seemingly for listening to the Rangers review, Chris Jack and Stevie Clifford being down there for the pre-season, they are waxing lyrical about this boy, and I'm keen to see him as soon as possible. But again, does that mean dropping out a Diamande possibly for the team in order to facilitate playing him more centrally, or do you drop out a winger and play him? But again, I think he's right-footed and cuts in for the left, so it doesn't really solve the Kieran Dowell conundrum. But I suppose, again, that's why I'm sitting here and I'm not sitting in Lucy Pinder's lap.
I know, when I suppose, Ricky, just come at you as we start to wrap up. Do you know, one of the things Ross never mentioned, interesting enough, we're talking about Danilo. Dessers, I know you're a big fan of Dessers, but his European record, both at Rangers and other teams, is outstanding. Do you know what he is good at scoring goals in Europe, you know, and beating the press and using that kind of movement to get chances as well. So it's good to have some options. Egerman's obviously another one, but it seems unlikely he'll start the game. To me, I'm a little bit unsure about Curtis, just purely it's an 18-year-old boy going to Greece. It might be a bit overawing for maybe put somebody else in there. Maybe Gassama if he's sat before I played Curtis. But anyway, over to you.
Well, thank God you're not the manager. That's number one. Number two, about the strikers. I mean, Egerman would always be my number 9 if we had a choice out of the 3 because he was outstanding in Europe. That's when Egerman. I mean, we saw him against Celtic in a little cameo at Parkhead, and then when we actually saw him against Nice in Europe, it was like, holy moly, man, this kid is. What have we signed here? What the hell is happening here? Niles Coppin is a good man after all, which turned out to be a damp squib. But no, Egerman would be the one for me, mate, 100%. I would love to see him start, but I don't know if he's fit enough. Like, and not speaking about the transfer rumour, just in his general fitness, I don't know if he's fit enough to start. So I'm 100% sure the team is going to be the exact team that started at Ibrox. That's not going to be the team that we continue with for like games in Europe. Obviously, we're away to bring in a lot better talent on the wings, and we're going to bring in better players, but we probably need this guaranteed European money, so we go to stage 2 in the transfer window. But let's be honest, with the options and the way that we played against Middlesbrough, that will be the team, and we just need to live with that just now. Like, me personally, I wouldn't start Dowell. You know, I'd probably like to see Aarons at right back. I would like to see. There's still too many round square pegs and round holes for me in that lineup. But he can only piss with the willy we've given him. I know that's not a very nice thing to say, but that's the truth. So And so at the end of the day, that's going to be the team until we get more players in. And so we just have to live with it, hope that it's enough. I agree with Kerr a little bit. I think all these, with what's at stake, the Greeks are going to come out fast. The crowd's going to be crazy. The good news about this stadium is it's like Hampden, like it's got this ridiculous Olympic running track around it. So the fans are about 2 miles away from the players. So that's at least a good thing for the players. The atmosphere would have been, that was a bad decision. They would have been much better just staying in the smaller stadium that's like Tynecastle, and they were right on the players, would have been a better decision. So that's going to help the players. And I think you're going to see Rangers. I think you're going to see a more complete 90-minute performance than you did at Ibrox. But for sure, it's with the players that are fitting the pieces of the jigsaw that Martin wants just now. And then that will change. I think it'll be a different team on Saturday at Fir Park. And then it'll start to change as we get closer to September.
Yeah. Yes. So just here a question before I get score predictions. Would you be happy, right? Just very quickly answer it each year. So would you be happy if we keep Nigerian international Dessers, Moroccan international and 50 million rated Egerman and a £6 million striker? Would that be a sufficient front line to take us through the next season?
Just quickly,
Scott.
I'll say. Oh, sorry. I'll just
No, it's fine, go, Ricky.
1 minute. No, it's not, because we need to sell Egerman to fund the rest of the transfers, and we need to keep Raskin. For me, Raskin is massive to what we do next season. So for me, Egerman has to go, Dessers goes, and we bring in 2 more.
Ross.
Try to get the mute button off there. No, mate. I think we need freshened up in that area. You're looking at a potential Danilo issue away from being back where we were at the tail end of last season, which wasn't good enough. I think over the course of a season, you need kind of a different. It's like a toolkit in it. You don't just go with 4 of the same screwdriver. I think you should have 4 different types or 4 different sizes and one that can fit every position. And I just feel as if at the moment we're lacking something up there, just a different option. As Ricky says, getting rid of either Egerman or Dessers is what seems to be the key that unlocks the Don Tuggeman door. And again, looking at his profile, younger, electric pace, good touch, great finisher. Is that, if you can trade off a Dessers for 5 million and bring in a younger guy, maybe on less wages, who's going to be a bit more prolific? Again, Dessers scoring X amount of goals last season is great, but how many should he have scored? Like that's what I always go back to. And in the cup final, when the pressure was on, he was in the pie stall when the penalties were getting divvied up and stuff like that. So I'm just looking for somebody that wants to be there and make a difference when it really, really, really matters. No stealing the ball off Tav to get your 50th goal for your own personal wee collection at the end of the season to take a penalty, but you'll not take one when it matters. I think we definitely need something different. I thought, as you know, I'm a stan, but I thought somebody like a Shankland or a Chris Boyd or a Kenny Miller, somebody that's just going to score you goals. So somebody you can, even if it's somebody you can throw on for the last 10 minutes of a game that's got an aerial threat, as my dog drinks as if he's never seen water in his life before in the background. Apologies if you can hear that. Somebody that's just a different option, even if it's only to bring off the bench, Gary. But Egerman and Dessers are going to fund 3 or 4 positions between them, Egerman especially. So, and the short answer to your yes or no question that I took 5 minutes to answer is no.
Yeah, I was going to say, Scott, you've run out of time to get a chance to answer this one there. That was just very quickly. I mean, it's not a bad position to be in. We've got 3 strikers potentially that as you say, there's financial issues, lots of reasons, but we've got 3 strikers now. Until one of them sold, most likely Egerman, we won't be able to bring in them anyway, I wouldn't have thought.
All I'll say is, Gary, I'm not going to go the cliche road about it, because what will happen. But if we've got a lot of better players behind them than we did have, so if we can get more goals coming from other areas and we can maybe a bit more stronger at the back, I think with Dessers scoring the goals last season, if he continues the goals this season, we'll win most of the games we didn't win last season because we were conceding as well, or other people only chipping in a part of maybe journey. So happy. If it came in the window, if you're still here, we can't sign anybody else. That'll not bother me.
So let's finish spot then, Scott. Score predictions, scores and scorers. Let's go around the room.
I'm going 1 each in Curtis.
He's not going to play this, I don't know that I am. No,
You're getting as bad as one Curtis as Ricky is in Dessers.
I know, crazy, man.
one each with Curtis. Ricky.
Well, you're a bully, mate. You got off Curtis's back, man. 7. Imagine you were a Barcelona fan where you're mal with the shit that he's got up to. They're throwing midgets about and the crap he's been up to the last 6 months. So I will go 2-1 Rangers, and it'll be Curtis and Dessers.
Ross.
3-1 Rangers.
Scorer.
Put me down for Joe Rothwell, first goal scorer. Danilo header, and then late on when they're chasing the game, I guess Sama.
Just to finish it off.
Just to finish it off, wrap it up in a nice wee bow.
I will go 1 each. I was thinking earlier on, I think I said in the other pod, that I think it reminds me a little bit of the Red Star Belgrade. That kind of tough away games. You know, you might lose an early goal, but an equaliser that just kind of sneaks us through quite relatively comfortable the last half hour. So here's hoping that come Thursday morning or Wednesday at 9 o'clock at night or whatever it may be, we are through to the next round. We are then into the third qualifier. Nobody really knows what these things are, against either Servette or Thousand, and back by that point, at least backed 15 to 20 million pound by being at worst in the Europa League, and that might then fund another couple of transfers very quickly thereafter. So we will be back on Friday. It's good to see the three of you. Good to have you all back on again, Ross. Hopefully, the summer holidays are nearly done. You'll be back on again soon. And other than that, Please Bell says thanks everybody for watching. We will see you on Friday evening at 8:30, and see the Premier League season starts the following day. Bye now.